Hey,
Hey, we are back. Welcome back to
yes, sir,
Pod.
we are.
Hey,
Raise the motherfucking roof, man. We are back in a
What else
very
would you rather
eventful.
be doing on Valentine's Day? Is the real question.
That's true. We all three of us have nothing better to do on Valentine's Day than shit talk each other's sports teams. So here we are,
my
man.
one true love is Boston sports, baby.
Hey, my one true love is shitting on Boston sports, so it
Yeah,
works
literally.
perfectly, man. So big week. Uh, since we last recorded. We got, the Celtics came through, smacked the Knicks. No other way to say that one.
It's like
And
every other time we play them, man.
Fuck you, man.
hey, yo, man, we'll talk. We'll get to that. We'll get to Bregman signing. Little AL East talk as well. But
Sox are back, baby.
we'll disagree on that. But first, the big game happened last Sunday. With the Eagles winning in convincing fashion. It has to be one of the most on your head seasons you could possibly give a division rival. Of course, the Eagles to the Giants.
Yep.
Getting Saquon going, winning a Super Bowl, he rushes for 2,000 yards. Really like the worst case scenario for Giants fans, really, because we didn't really want to see the Chiefs three-peat, but really didn't want to see the Eagles win either. Ra, how are we feeling like a couple days after that Mahomes didn't get his three-peat, but the Eagles won the Super Bowl?
I'm just glad the season's over, really. Man, but unfortunately, the Eagles, I mean, they were the best team in the league pretty much all year. They were the best team, and I just don't, because the NFC has not had like a team that's really been a dynasty. One like the Chiefs were and the Patriots were in the not like winning the second amount of Super Bowls, but just like being the team to beat for like a solid like I don't know 5 to 10 years. I'm thinking that's what the Eagles might be because this is not even close. I think with Cooper DeJean and being a rookie. So and also they're just so like what other team is well managed as them in the NFC? And like I just think that then it is if you're going to go to the Super Bowl, you are going to have to go to Lincoln Financial Field. I just think that's it. It's an unfortunate reality, but it's the reality.
Yeah, I'm gonna before we move on to the like wider implications of the Mahomes Brady debate, I just do want to say that it is very impressive. You got to give some props to Philly, begrudgingly, the way they overhauled their secondary, the way they got Zach Bond, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. It's one of the most impressive turnarounds I've ever seen. When you talk about this point last year, the Eagles defense was Swiss cheese. I mean, Daniel Jones lit them up in like whatever week 17. They were just getting, destroyed. Their defense was awful in every metric, and they turn it around in one season, somehow getting the two best corner prospects in the same draft, picking up Zach Bond, a guy that, no one had really heard of, and turning him into an all-pro linebacker. Just very deflating, and you can really see like it is possible to turn this around. It doesn't have to take 5 years to turn this around if you run by the right people. So congrats to the Eagles, whatever, whatever. Like Ras said, we're just glad the season is over. But Kurt, I've been hearing a lot of noise from Patriots fans about how the GOAT debate is over after this game. What do you think about that?
Ridiculous.
Okay, that might be a little bit extreme. That might be a little bit extreme. I think if this game told us anything, it's that Patrick Mahomes has a very long way to go before he claims that GOAT status. Obviously, as a Patriots fan, I might put Brady further ahead of Mahomes than some people. But I think based on Mahomes' performance last Sunday, it is pretty much impossible to say at this point that he is the better player throughout his career. Um,
Yeah. I will say that I think that Patrick Mahomes is much more vital, especially early in his career. Like if Mahomes doesn't play well, the Chiefs don't. Brady played like shit all the time in the playoffs, and the Patriots still. He did that, and again, same thing against even when he was with the Bucks, like NFC Championship game, throwing 3 picks. And I will also say that they went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl in New England,
Yep,
in
and
the midst of that dynasty.
some of the
So
quarterbacks they lost to too, because that I think might be worse. He lost to Jake Plummer, Jake the Snake. He lost to Joe Flacco multiple times at home. He lost to Mark Sanchez. Got outplayed by Mark Sanchez at home in Foxborough. That happened. So the idea that Mahomes just can't recover from this and not surpass Brady, it's a ridiculous thought process, especially since they're both 3-2 in their first 5 Super Bowls, and the Patriots lost as massive favorites in both of them. But they put up 14 points with an undefeated roster.
they were massive favorites the
I
same time.
completely agree. It's not over for the debate, but I think at this point now you have to wait until
Yeah.
Mahomes gets another 2 rings to put him in the
I think
conversation.
one and it'd be right there because they would be
I
four.
disagree. I think you look talent wise, you say, Mahomes is probably already better than Brady. He is capable of doing things that Brady could not do.
Mahomes has like sort of these last couple years not really like just been sort of saving it for the playoffs. That's what it's been like now. He's at
But
that regular season, so his playoff last is like he's at that phase where he's like, oh well, what he'll do in the playoffs because he's played like she did not play well in the regular season at all.
Yeah.
So he's
So
gonna have to really ball out to
well,
continue.
right.
my
So
point was also going
yeah.
to be we have never seen Brady play as poorly in as big a game as Patrick Mahomes did in the Super Bowl.
I
And you can
I
blame it
mean, like
on
you threw a
any
pick to a
number of
sub-2 defense.
reasons,
Like, come on.
but we did not ever see it.
I think that like the argument of the like I think any playoff game is like if you don't win, the
You're
like yes,
gone. Yeah, it's not like it's that
Brady
small.
has never gotten blown. He's never played that bad, or his team has never looked that bad, never played that bad in a Super Bowl. That's incredibly true.
Look, he played
However, Mahomes has never played as
in the
bad
losses
in
though.
early playoff games as Brady did in that stretch. So I
Well,
think I
yes,
put a little
but
more weight on that because again, it's they're all playoff games, right?
I mean, we got to look at it too as Brady played through, 25 years of football, and Mahomes has played through, what is it now, like six?
Hmm.
And he obviously, not to take anything away from Mahomes, he's had unprecedented success, been to at least the conference championship every single year of his career.
I think this is like
But
his like eighth
at
year.
some
He did
point,
28. Not Dave.
Mahomes
Not
could go through a similar stretch
He
where
could.
he could.
you
I could
know,
definitely see
we
that.
see him lose to the Bills in the first round, or we see him lose to the Ravens in the first round. I think a time is still coming for these guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and then um, starting next year, my guy, Mr. Jake May.
Oh my god.
The takeover is coming, fellas.
Well, I think the thing that was so impressive about the Patriots, it's similar to they're all gonna have a shot, right? The Patriots, in their heyday, I think they set the record with 9 consecutive, I believe it was, conference championship appearances. To me, that was even more impressive than anything else, and because of the fact you knew that they were gonna be in the mix at the end of the year. And it's a similar conversation with Mahomes and Andy Reid, where they really, and again, like you said, they could go through that stretch, and then we're having a whole different combo. But I think that I still think I still think Mahomes is like I don't think this case hurt his GOAT combo as much as even you think it did.
No, and
I
I
mean,
don't.
like, I don't know. I
I'm gonna
think
agree
like
with you for the most part. Sorry, Ra. I'm gonna agree with you for the most part, but I think the recency bias definitely is at play here. There was a big hype up about, where does he rank compared to Brady? if he wins this game, and so many people were expecting him to win this game,
Yeah.
and so when he goes and loses this game, it's just people's expectations are so let down, they automatically go to he can't possibly ever get to that level of Brady, even though that's just, making an extreme claim at the height of emotion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think like also, but I think it definitely does hurt his legacy a little bit because in his two Super Bowls that he had, he got blown out, and I think that does like and like it's sort of like when you get pressure, and they had a game plan, so maybe that's used in the
Mm-hmm.
future.
No,
So it's a
we've
very intriguing point in his career next year.
we've seen the formula now to beat Mahomes. You need to rush four, get pressure with four, and then just cover well.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
and the thing with the form deal, that's like how many teams in the NFL can do that? Like rush
Not
four,
a lot,
not
not
a
a lot,
lot.
especially the Chiefs' offensive line. They've been getting shit on recently with their performance in the Super Bowl, but they stacked up well. 16 games out of their, I mean, what they played 18 games or so, 17
Mhm.
games out of their 18.
Yeah. Um, yeah, they did. I we'll see though, like, because last time this happened in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs really like overhauled their entire offensive line in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see if they can do that. So we'll put a fork in that. I think we a bit actually probably agree a bit more than even I thought we would, except the only real thinking point is me and Rath think that one ring, and you think two to get back in the conversation. But other than that, we pretty much agreed. Let's move on to the National Basketball Association. Just wrapped up the unofficial first half of the season, even though we have played more than half the games in the All-Star break, and the long-awaited rematch of the Knicks and Celtics did not go the way that
Just
me and
another game
Ra
on the schedule for us, man.
um, did not go the way we planned. Despite cutting the lead to three, the Celtics did jump out on the Knicks, and besides that run they had, never really um, beat it. It's a problem for the Knicks where if you have a wing that you can put on Karl Anthony Towns, switch everything on defense. It's not just the Celtics, it's the Thunder, it's the Cavs, and even the Rockets, giving them trouble with that. Um, it's and again, like Karl Anthony Towns, versus an elite team. Like I love what he's done for the Knicks, but on defense, he can really be exploited in the pick and roll. And it can get ugly, man. So that's gonna be like the Knicks are putting all their chips in the Mitch Rob coming back, really. I mean, that's because if he's not
Mhm.
back,
You're right,
Yeah.
absolutely right.
um, so Kurt, as from the Celtics fan perspective, what did you like that you saw from the C's that night?
I mean, yeah, just to say the Knicks, they're a great team, but we've yet to see them get it done against other high level teams. That needs to be proven. And to your point, the only thing that's really going to change the rest of the season is you get Mitch Rob back at some point. Hopefully he stays healthy and you get OG back at some point. Both of those could be potentially big additions for you, but I don't know if either one is enough to move the uh, to get you past the finish line against a team like the Celtics or the Thunder. I saw a stat yesterday about the Knicks in those matchups against the Cavs, the Celtics, and the
Mhm.
Thunder. And so far this season, they were like a net negative 91 in games
Yeah.
against those top three teams.
Yeah.
Um, so not just to jump in and shit on the Knicks, but a little bit of shit on the Knicks for you. Um, as far as the Celtics go, it's been like pretty steady all season. I mean, we you guys have checked in with me all year, and it's really been. I feel good about where we're at. There have been points where it feels like we're not putting in quite the effort we needed to, but I think we're starting to get back to that level. And the important thing to me is every time we seem to have one of those big games against a top team like the Cavs, like the Knicks, top of the East, we go out and we put on a show. So, really the two big things for me right now that are slightly concerning. I still need to see more from Jaylen Brown. I feel like it's been a disappointing year for him. The shooting numbers are down. Um, just watching him play, there's been a lot of unnecessary turnovers, a lot of uncharacteristic misses from him. So I think he just needs to kind of get back to himself and find his flow. And I'm sure he will. Still have great faith in him. The other thing I'm looking at going forward is what the fuck was I thinking about? Um,
Is Holiday gonna like? What's the deal with his injury?
he should be back pretty soon. It's nothing too concerning on
Good news.
that
Good
front.
news for my fantasy best.
It might be concerning to your fantasy basketball team, but we're not too worried about it. Um, yeah, we just need to find some consistency. And I have faith that the Celtics are one of those teams that once we get to the playoffs, and we're really built for the playoffs to play at that tempo, that intensity. Um, so I mean, in short, I feel great about where we're at right now.
Yeah, hard not to. Despite some they've probably had like the two or at least in the top like three of like biggest favorites lost, like because they've lost as like 17-point favorites or something. And that's gonna happen when you're
Yeah.
as good of a team as they are. Okay, so last but not least, we are spring training is right around the corner, and the Boston Red Sox make a splash by getting Alexander Bregman, who was a target for both the Yankees and the Red Sox, at least their fan bases. Me and Roy will talk a little bit on if we thought that maybe Judge or there's some leftover animosity there. But Kurt, the boys on your team now. Where do you think this puts the Red Sox, line up? How does it change your expectations of the season?
It's great news, folks. Great news. We finally see John Henry come out and spend some money. Gets the right-handed bat we've been looking for all off season and years prior. Um, Bregman really he felt like one of the main targets coming out, and it's an interesting contract if we were to really break it down, but I don't want to get too far into that right now. Um, I'm really just hoping there's been a lot of talk that they're going to play him at second base. And that just makes zero sense to me. If you're going out and getting a gold glove third baseman, you play him at third base, you put Devers at DH, you trade Yoshida, you do what you have to. Because, I mean, we all can agree here. Devers, he's a top three worst defensive third baseman in the league.
Yes, absolutely. He's
Bregman is probably top five at least best defensive third baseman in the league.
Mhm.
That's a massive upgrade the instant you plug him into your third base spot. Not to mention, we have guys coming up like Christian Campbell, who can play reliable second base and be another reliable right handed bat in the lineup. We don't want to create a logjam now for these young guys when we have the number one farm system. And, you know, what these guys need to be up this year and contributing and getting better. We don't want them hanging in limbo and getting screwed over like a Blake Swihart.
So the trade of Yoshida, where do you think that think it's gonna happen? Do you think that what value do you think they could potentially get?
I think Yoshida definitely still has some value. The question is his contract is pretty massive, and When he came into the league, you thought he was going to play some defense. You thought he was going to be an outfielder for you. And I think he still can do that, but he's never going to be a plus defensively. So most teams, I think, are going to want to keep him at DH. Um, at this point, I really think the key is just to unload him for whatever we can get, as long as we can get rid of that contract and we can get, a solid prospect in return. Because I feel like all of us know the end point for Devers at some point is going to be DH. It's
Yeah.
either first base or DH in the near future. And I'm still very high on Tristan Casas. I want to let him have a full, healthy year before we really rate anything off about him. Um, so I think just get the switch over, put him at DH, and some team can use Yoshida. Um, I don't know exactly what he'll fetch, but it'll free room for the youngsters, like I was saying. Someone goes down, then we have more liberty to put in a guy like Campbell or Roman Anthony right into the lineup and see the results.
Yeah, I mean my I believe I made it on this pod. The comparison of Marcia Yoshida playing internationally to Evan Fournier playing for France definitely looks better. But it's
I will say Yoshida is a Yankees killer. I will always have a ton of respect for that man. He's a
Oh,
great hitter
he really
and
is.
he's a Yankee killer, but
yeah, I mean
got to
Bregman
get
is
him out.
not, but despite the reputation, his stats aren't quite there, honestly, against the Yank show. But yeah,
Bregman,
I mean,
oh,
Yoshida,
I was saying
he had that
Yoshida.
big.
He had like big home runs against us, though. Like the one where we blew that lead back in like
Yeah,
July.
didn't he have like a ninth inning one last year
He
against
did.
you
Yeah,
Oh,
no, he
guys?
did.
yeah.
That's was thought
It
Yoshida.
was
Yeah,
now
he did.
off
It
the
was in the
man.
stadium too. It was
Was that off
pretty
the Go
devastating.
Clay Holmes?
Yeah, ex Yankee Clay Holmes. So he's no one. He blown safe to the Mets instead, cross town.
Oh man, he's gonna be securing saves in the Subway Series.
No,
Now we'll
Wow,
watch
be
that
up
was that
nine to
was
two by
bars
then.
right
out.
there.
Clay's gonna
That
blow
was
it.
some serious
Calling him right
alliteration. I
now.
didn't even intend
Securing saves and so, yeah, that is
it.
Oh my.
pretty fire.
No, what's gonna
Um,
happen is Soto's gonna hit like a bomb, and it's gonna be like, yo, Soto comes back, and then Clay comes in, and then just throws the game.
hopefully that's what happened. Rad, do you think that the animosity that still exists in the Yankees organization for the Houston Astros had anything to do with the Yankees not getting Bregman?
I don't really think so. I mean, it's just maybe, but that was in 2017. Like, if it is, then they need to just kind of get over it at this point.
2019. Um, I mean,
But
oh no,
no,
wait, that
I
was
see. I think they'd
2017.
rather get Arenado. I think that's honestly what.
Yeah. Off this, is Arenado a free agent?
No,
No, that's what I'm
No,
saying. They would have to
but he's
trade for
he's
gonna
him.
on
get
the
traded
trade
because the
market.
Cardinals are just starting over.
He needs to like the deal too, or the team he's going to, because he has a no trade clause.
Yeah. I mean, Arenado, yeah, that'd be, I mean, they can't run LeMahieu again at third. I think
Can't?
Like you
that's the
might as well
number
get his
one
wall in there.
issue.
Nah, let's see it again. Run it back.
No,
Uh,
It
yeah,
can't be worse, right, man? Can't be worse.
it probably
can't be
can be.
worse than the last time. Than last year. That's true.
Yeah,
Not to mention pay Verdugo and bring Ellsbury back, man.
Dominguez. So I think the X factor for the Yankee season is Dominguez. If he can play really good left field, if he can give us, 25, 30 home runs, if he can kind of blossom into the prospect that he's been hyped up to be, then I think that's huge for the Yankees. I actually think it did, to be honest. I think like Judge, with the contract they gave Judge, he's got some pull, and I think him especially, like that was his rookie year. Like he hadn't really like gotten into like he was still a wide-eyed, rookie, and to have the Astros do that to him, I think that it legitimately, I think it does. Like I think that a Cashman, I think because remember it's the same people from 20s. If they had hired new people, I would maybe say no, but it's really all the key members of the Yankees front office are exactly the same. And I think it
What
did play a role in why the Yankees did not pursue Bregman. But I mean, we'll see.
what let
Maybe they just start whipping up an Arenado trade. Maybe.
yeah.
But I think it did personally.
So what letter grade would you give the Yankees offseason this year?
I'm gonna say a
I
B.
I'm gonna go like B plus, probably, maybe even A minus. Like I think like it. I mean, yeah, losing Soto hurts, but it's not like they cheaped out. If they had cheaped out on Soto, I would have given it a much larger grade. But they offered $760 million, and listen, you have Max Fried, you dealt with your rotation. I think the lineup is deeper than it was, although obviously the top power is there with what Soto brings you. You're not going to fully replace it, but you still have Aaron Judge, so it's not like we're gonna. And also on defense, I think are a better team because that's what Max Fried brings. Um, Goldschmidt too. I like this team, and I think right now, I just still think we are in the conversation. If not, I think we're in the conversation for best record in the American League. But
But so
I,
are the goddamn Red Sox, baby.
Are they though? Red Sox
I
but
are
think so,
currently
honestly.
plus 440 to win the AL East. The Yankees are
are the
plus
Plus
Orioles still
180.
440.
ahead of them?
That is value right there, man.
And
Yeah, the
then
Orioles are still like.
yeah, the Orioles are still in between them, odds wise. It's like the
I would
Yankees are
give
like
this
even
over the
money, so
Orioles.
they're
I
plus.
am so low on the Orioles. Like they just did. Like I just don't get what their thought process was this year. I mean, you had an opportunity to. The thing is,
You cut out there,
be
my brother.
aggressive.
Yo, you
You
cut
knew
out.
the.
Like you
Wait,
cut
what?
out.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, just start over.
Okay, so I just don't get what the Orioles are doing. Like you knew teams in your division, particularly the Yankees and particularly the Red Sox, were going to be very aggressive in this offseason. If the Yankees were either going to re-sign Juan Soto, and if they didn't, they were still going to make moves. The Red Sox, you knew they were going to be aggressive and get pitching. So
No,
for
you
the
I think
didn't.
their
Orioles,
fans knew
I
that.
will say you did not know the Red Sox were going to be
Yeah,
aggressive.
they
There
both
have
their
been a
no,
number
fans.
of years now when
for the
everyone
Orioles to
expected
keep
the Red
penny
Sox to be
pitching.
aggressive, and we did jack shit. This year is finally the year that we did get aggressive,
But
Yeah,
you
that's
figured
and
maybe like they would, and
talking
like the
about the
point
result.
is that for the Orioles, it's like, yeah, you have all this young talent, but at the end of the day, your best signing was a 41-year-old Charlie Morton, and you lost Corbin Burns, and you let. I mean, it's unbelievable. I would be absolutely furious with ownership if I were an Orioles fan right now because they had an opportunity that you don't get often, and you had an opportunity to really catapult yourself with Juan Soto gone as the best team in the American League. They did not do it, and honestly, I would not be incredibly surprised if I think they're a wild card team at best. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, I would feel those. I mean, letting Corbin Burns go and not getting a viable replacement, and just like this offseason, like the Orioles, we've seen them come up the last couple of years, and this year, it now feels like the all-in year. Um, the trade deadline too, like I felt like they could have been more aggressive there as well. And really, like I think you did kind of nail it there. Like I think that with what the Orioles didn't, they're relying on this young core they have, which there's something to that, but I think they should have spent more.
They should have. They should have spent more, and that is the reasoning behind it, I guess, or at least what you tell the fans. We still have this young core. We
but
fully
like
expect them
they're
to
not
take a
going to be
step
cheap to
forward.
retain. They're not going to be cheap to retain. in a
And
few
at the end of the day, it's going to be on this young core to get us over the top. So
They're not going to be cheap though. So what do you do then? Do you just start over in like? I just don't.
Tampa Bay Rays type.
What?
Yeah.
that is kind of what I was thinking, low key. Are they taking the Rays formula here and trying to run with it?
we'll see. I
You
mean,
you gotta just spend money. I just think
if
the Rays
it,
haven't won. Like
the Rays have
The
been
Rays,
down. I mean, they've won like
it's interesting to talk about
that
the
doesn't
Rays
lead you
because
to a
they
championship.
haven't
they've
And like
only
fully,
you gotta
like, they
spend
haven't won a
money to
championship,
win.
but they've been a consistent winner,
yeah.
as weird as it is to say.
This year, like last year they weren't,
Last year they sucked.
and
This
then
year they're probably gonna suck.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, like the Rays very
I don't know, man.
consistently.
I think the Rays are gonna somehow be decent.
I think
Like
for I mean
they'll
for a
always
definite
bottom.
while they were both Yankees and Red Sox fans, like other most annoying team in the division. Like for a long time.
Absolutely.
Like playing at the Trop was always just annoying. You always
It is
had
still
like balls
annoying. That's the
going off
worst
the
stadium I've
stadium
ever been to.
top,
Poverty fucking
the
stadium, man.
Poverty Stadium. You had like somehow they're always turning these, they're either just absolutely finessing other teams or they're just like developing these prospects out of nowhere. And I mean, with
Now they're
the
playing
saying
on
they
your
haven't won any.
fucking they're playing on your spring training field now, right?
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah.
are pulling like a Oakland A's or Las Vegas A's playing on a uh practice facility, basically. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but they were. I think that I'm kind of feeling a bounce back year for the Blue Jays. Like I think just kind of like spiraled out of control last year. I think they have some talent. I don't know though. That's kind of like a loose.
I agree they have some talent. I've heard that from a few people now. They think the Blue Jays are going to be right back in it. I don't know though. I'm still
Really?
underwhelmed with all the moves they've made. They have a few guys. They still have Vlad, but I still
Max
think
Scherzer,
clear
Charlie Morton,
clear
Uncle.
3 or 4 in the AL East. Like not even a 4 or 5. I mean,
Yeah. Um, so I
Bro,
mean we've got
we
like
gotta see Max Scherzer versus Charlie Morton. It's the unction. Like clearly, when's that gonna happen?
I mean it will. It
It
most
will.
likely
We're
will.
gonna
we
make.
need to
We might
get
have to be
Rich
there.
Hill involved.
Ooh, that's a good
The
one.
Orioles did sign Rich Hill. I think they
Did
signed the
someone
board.
sign him again?
I think the Orioles did.
Oh
Let
shit,
me look that
staying
up
in
real quick.
division.
Let me look up Rich Hill.
He'll be back to the Red Sox before the end of the season. Mark my words.
He is, look at his baseball doc or MLB.com. Uh, I can't. Is Rich Hill retired? I don't think so. I mean, regardless, he'll probably be on a team at some point, just with how these pitchers are getting hurt. Well, we've got, like 2 minutes left here in the Zoom, Jamin. So is there anything y'all want to say before we sign off?
Mm. Four nations facing off.
Four Nations is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the commercial is just like so funny because you.
Can we get a quick Seattle Kraken shout out in there?
yes, so this the Seattle Crack Show, man. Listen, it's the slow start to the season,
Hell,
but
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm just gonna assume we're coming off a recent victory, and I'm gonna
we're
assume that we are well on our way to the playoffs,
close,
and
man.
I'm gonna assume that we'll dominate the Rangers on Rosdome next
They
time
don't
we
play
play.
anymore, man. I was telling
How
my kid.
lucky, man. Like, because last time they played,
No,
they really
Better
put up
hope you don't
7
get
on
us
your
in the
dome.
Yoffs either, man.
You have
no.
control. Better not see us in the
We might
cup.
not even make the playoffs. Bulldogs are probably not going
All I'm
to.
hearing is a hater drinking the haterade right now.
That's so fucking true, man. So make sure to like, sub, and tune in next time. We're gonna be ranking our favorite hate watches of each other's team. So this is games that, because it's always the best that when your team beats the other team, but we're talking pure hate watch. We're gonna be talking about our best memories watching our rivals fail. So
Oh
make
my,
sure.
that Freddie Freeman home run in the World Series just hit Diffie, man.
Oh man. And with that, one
Go
final
ahead,
middle
ask me
finger.
which one. Ask me which one, man.
Hey, and with that, we're gonna sign off. One last middle finger to
The
Yankees
answer is
fans.
all of them.
All right. See you next time, boys.